Hi, welcome to the DRH show, where I have wide-ranging conversations with fascinating people. We talk about all things psychology, mental health, and wellness. Today, I'm joined by a skincare and wellness expert from Dermoi, Eve Casha. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's great to have you here, Eve. So let's kick this off with you telling us your background, your trajectory in life, and how you ended up doing what you're doing.
Okay, amazing. So I've always been so passionate about skin health, like for as long as I can remember, and I always knew that this is where I would end up working, but I wasn't so sure how. And then moving on, I ended up doing my BSc, so my bachelor's degree in biological sciences, but I focused on immunology. I did honors immunology because I wanted to understand how the body is working and how immune responses are working, but inflammatory reactions are actually so prevalent in many skin conditions and also in the normal aging process. So I was super passionate here, and then I moved on to do my master's in pharmaceutical formulation because I was learning so much about the skin, but less about the formulas we put on it and how and why they work and what is effective and what's not. So yeah, I learned loads there and learned about drug delivery systems and how to get a medicine into the skin. And then now I'm with Dermoi and I'm the chief scientific officer. So I spend loads of my days making sure that every product, supplement, treatment, all of our advice, all of our regimes is scientifically accurate and that what we're offering is going to influence cellular structure and cellular function so that people really see the difference in their skin health and in their wellness that they're after.
Absolutely. Now, could you just tell us more about the moi and what is it about? Who's your target market?
Sure. Okay, yeah. So our company is, first and foremost, scientifically based, where everything that comes through our company, every bit of advice, every product, treatment, esthetician, has either been scientifically trained or it's been scientifically investigated and selected for our audience. But the business is based around the facial treatments because not only are these so effective in correcting so many things in people's skin, but our treatments are designed to give you a roadmap to healthy skin and guide your use of active ingredients. Because when things are getting so much more effective, it's amazing, but it's not a one size fits all answer. And so I guess technically we offer three things. It's daily care products, skin supplements, which are amazing, and our treatments. And we can combine them all with the skincare subscription.
Now, Eve, you mentioned about scientific evidence that guides the ethos of your company, and also owing to your science background. Can you tell us a bit more about the science behind the skin? It could, when we think about skin, it's just everything is about aesthetics, but obviously, you could probably tell us more about the science behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I guess can be commonly missed is that your skin is your largest organ, right? And it's also the largest microbiome. And while the skin is typically exploited for aesthetic purposes, it's absolutely essential to our lives and healthy living. So, I guess first and foremost, the skin is a really, really strong physical barrier against any pathogens, bacteria, infection, any toxic materials in our environment. But it also regulates water loss. It's also a huge branch of our immune system. It regulates our temperature. It encloses all of our organs. And and it's a huge link between what's happening inside our bodies and what's happening outside. So we need to treat it with care, and it needs some TLC every day.
Yeah, like you said, it really requires a lot of TLC.
Yeah.
And I suppose if you don't nourish your skin enough, you will be suffering from skin conditions, of course, and this is largely dependent about your skin type. So could you please talk us more about the relationship between skin types and skin conditions, and obviously what can we do to address these skin conditions?
Absolutely. Yeah. So skin type and skin conditions are two separate things. So a skin type is is usually genetically determined or hormonally determined. And this refers to mainly the oil content in your skin. So someone who's a bit drier will have a less of an oil content, and someone who perceives themselves as having more of an oily skin has a higher oil content. But moving into skin conditions, it's more of a dysregulation or a dysfunction or an imbalance in your skin that's causing things like acne or rosacea or psoriasis or hyperpigmentation. And these are so varied. So they can be mild, they can be extremely severe, they can be acute, so only lasting for a short amount of time, or they can be long-term throughout your lifetime and need constant management. And they are much more prevalent than I think people would think. Between the ages of 11 and 30, roughly 90% of adults will experience acne. In the UK right now, 43% of women are concerned with hyperpigmentation, and roughly 5 to 10% of the population is suffering from atopic dermatitis, so a form of eczema. So it's around us all the time, and we're so used to living with these conditions when in reality, our organ is unbalanced.
So what would you say is effective for treating skin conditions? Obviously, there's so many ways of, treating skin conditions, but if you just go down to the basics, can you give us some, handy tips on managing our skin conditions?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all answer, but you really can make such a big difference if you are, prioritizing your skin and managing your skin. First and foremost is finding the right information, finding accurate information that's based on science. If you ever find, resources that are happy to link the papers they're referring to, that's usually a good way to go. So that's number one. But then number two is understanding that maybe not all formulas are the same. So, there are, skincare products that are mainly formulated as traditional cosmetics, which do not penetrate your skin. But then there's this new generation of products called cosmeceuticals. So it's a cosmetic and a pharmaceutical put together, and they contain active ingredients, and they get these ingredients into your skin with a delivery system. There's so many of them, and they can be so sophisticated, but they are designed exactly for the skin tissue, exactly to hit a certain cell type, and exactly to make a certain change, and it's life-changing. And so if you know you have a skin condition and you need to manage it over the long term, speaking with an expert and finding the right ingredient for you, and then just adding this into your everyday life with a really effective formula coming out of a science lab will make the world of difference. And skin
Absolutely.
supplements as well. It goes
Absolutely.
up.
Now, I hope my next question doesn't sound so impertinent, Eve, but it looks like you do have really a good skin. But have you ever suffered from any skin condition yourself?
Yeah, I have. For me, I've suffered with acne when I was a little bit younger, but it was quite severe. And I was able to manage it with topical ingredients. Salicylic acid was the one that really helped me. And I had to balance my hormones. And at the time, I didn't know about skin supplements, but I really, really wish I did, because there's some absolutely amazing ones that are bioavailable that will make the world of difference. And if I knew then what I know now, it would be so different. And then, now, thank you for your compliment, but I do suffer with rosacea. But I can manage this every day with a really good vitamin C supplement, azelaic acid, treatments as well. I'm crazy about protecting my skin barrier. It makes the world of difference for me. But yeah.
Well, for the uninitiated, what's the skin condition again? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar about it.
It's called rosacea.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 4 different types. Some of which are a little bit more severe than others, and the exact scientific cause of this condition isn't quite mapped out. It's a mix between genetics, it's a mix between your diet and your gut health, the microbial population on your skin, and then also the regulation of your blood vessels, because they're constantly dilated. But essentially, it's characterized by persistent redness, and then other forms can have pustules involved. There are some forms that cause your skin to be really hard and thick. But for the most part, where we are at now in the field, some really good anti-inflammatory actives are the way to go, which is also quite interesting, because I think when I was first learning about active skincare, you assume it's so harsh, and you assume an active ingredient is like crazy strength and it's almost a bit scary. But on the flip side, an active ingredient is something that could be a potent antioxidant or a potent anti-inflammatory. And so your skin goes from being crazy inflamed and uncomfortable to completely soothed and, like soft within 24 hours. And it's a huge difference. So it shifted the way I think of actives, for sure.
Now, Eve, earlier you alluded to what skincare products should penetrate, what skincare ingredients should penetrate. Can you talk us more about that areas of, our skin that they should penetrate?
Yeah, so not all ingredients penetrate, right? Because the skin is a barrier. That's what it's designed to do, and that's what it's so amazing at. So in general, ingredients that are really small, so just broad, but under 500 Daltons is usually a good molecular weight, so really, really tiny. And things that are extremely lipophilic, so like water soluble, or sorry, oil soluble. So anything that is like a gel that has a huge water content, there's going to be some issues absorbing there. And then even with these ingredients that are small and they're lipophilic, sometimes passing through the skin can be so slow. So you have the ingredient on your skin, but if it takes 72 hours to get to the dermis, you don't necessarily get the same effect, and the dose that you would get in your skin is so small. So I guess it goes without saying that most of the actives that we want to use do not fall into this category because it's such a specific type of molecule. So we have to find other ways to get it through, and it's quite challenging. But with nanotechnology and chemical penetration enhancers, you can really, really make a huge difference, and you can get the ingredients really deep into your skin, which for the most part, if you have a skin condition or for your skin health in general, collagen is always going. And so we want to get really deep into the skin and get things past our barrier.
Well, thank you, Eve. What about skin supplements? Because you mentioned earlier that there's a lot of things that you could apply in your skin to manage your skin condition, to manage your skin types. But you also mentioned the importance of supplements, and I suppose collagen is one of those supplements that we could put on our skin. Are there any other skin supplements that we could put? And could you also talk more about the importance of these supplements?
Yeah, absolutely. So the skin is affected by so many things. It does show what's happening inside your body. So supplements are so effective at treating the skin. But before I get into that, I'll quickly touch on lifestyle factors. So because your internal health plays a huge role in your skin, things like smoking a lot or alcohol consumption or excessive UV exposure, if you're going through a period where you're super stressed or you're not sleeping enough or you just have a lot of, emotional burdens, all of these things will show up on your skin. And I think it is very accepted that we can treat the skin topically, which is absolutely, excellent, because with the right formula that's really effective, we can get, really potent ingredients right where you want them to go. And it's like a local delivery, and you can give a real, boost into your skin. But what is so exciting that it's becoming more popular are skin supplements, because what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and how you're treating your body plays a huge role in how your skin is looking. And if you're feeding your skin with nutrients that are designed to promote its health or promote collagen production or reduce inflammation or provide a huge boost of antioxidants, it's so effective. Even for people who have acne, for example, there are supplements out there that will help balance your hormones, because for some people it can be really challenging to do this. And maybe it doesn't happen within 1 week, but 6 months later, especially if you have really big cystic acne, which is often hormonally driven, these supplements make the world of difference. But what I will say is it's very similar concept that you need to think about as with a cosmetic and a cosmeceutical, is that not all nutritional supplements are formulated the same. And oral drug delivery is really, really challenging, because a molecule needs to first dissolve in water, and then it has to dissolve in something that's oil-based. So you need to take it into your body, it dissolves in water, and then it needs to pass across a membrane that's lining your gut in order to get into the bloodstream. And then from there, it can get to your target tissue, which in our case is the skin. And not all formulas are designed to do this, and so they're not bioavailable. Also, things like the shelf life of your ingredient plays a huge role, and whether or not the ingredient is going to be stable in stomach acids. So the term for these supplements that are really effective are called nutraceutical supplements, because they will encapsulate an ingredient in a liposome, so an oil-based bubble that allows it to remain stable and slowly go through your GI tract and then come across your membrane, or capsules that are maybe have a pH dependent release, so they won't dissolve in a low pH of your stomach, but when they get to your small and large intestine and the pH goes up, then the ingredient will start to release. So yeah, there's a lot to think about and a lot of sophisticated formulas. But yeah, for those who are taking them, it's life changing. Oh, and I will touch on one last thing that is completely exploding these days is our collagen supplements, and I think that maybe many of the viewers have heard about them. And this is because collagen is constantly degrading for us. So from around the age of 25, we start to stop producing collagen, and our collagen content in our skin starts to go. And collagen is a protein that's a structural protein. So it's within the dermis, and it forms this meshwork with elastin and hyaluronic acid, and it gives your skin strength and elasticity, and allows it to sort of, I guess, handle everyday pressures. But unless there's an injury, when we stop growing, we don't produce collagen anymore. So, this massive drop in collagen over time contributes to some skin conditions, but also a lot of the aging that we see on our skin as we get older. But really, really effective collagen supplements. So those that contain a collagen peptide, because whole collagen won't make it to the skin, are so effective. And they are, I guess, taking the world by storm right now. Collagen peptide supplements, those that are bioavailable, because they can really support skin structure and skin health, and they can carry you through your lifetime with really healthy, happy skin.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to underscore what you said earlier, that everything that you put on your skin should be backed by science, backed by modern science. And we hear it straight from you as a skincare and wellness expert, that there's so many things that we could apply in our skin to better manage our skin conditions. But obviously you have a background in in skincare, and you also work within skincare, but not so many people would have that experience and won't have that first-hand knowledge. So a lot of us would have misconceptions about skincare. So Eve, what do you wish people knew more about their skin?
I guess that, well, one that I touched on earlier, that your skin is an organ, so we need to be careful how we're treating it. You need to be careful what you put on it, and that you need to find the products that are treating it like the organ it is. But then on the other side, I really, really wish people knew that, skin health is something that you can absolutely influence on a daily basis, and you can absolutely influence with your daily skincare routine. There are studies that show that in the long term, a daily skincare routine will preserve the integrity and the strength of your complexion in the long run. And so maybe many times people view it as something of vanity or purely aesthetic. And while there are so many benefits to that, and I believe it is absolutely essential for our overall wellness, it's a little bit more than that. It's just as important as, taking care of your body and going to the gym and eating healthy, right? Eating broccoli once isn't going to keep you so healthy, and taking care of your skin once a year is the same kind of concept. And because your skin is this outside barrier that's constantly taking abuse from pollution and UV exposure and stress, it really is something that people should think about a little more seriously.
And I just want to dig deeper into that. What about can you give us some sort of misconception about skincare and sort of address those misconceptions? And also, I just want to hear your thought about some cosmetic procedures that we could use to kind of enhance the skin. Let's say, for instance, Botox or whitening products. I have to admit, when I was on my early 20s, I did use a lot of whitening products. So what's your take on that, Eve?
Okay, sure. This is a great question. So I'll start with treatments. Treatments are wonderful. However, there is something kind of weird happening right now within the community where treatments are either ineffective because they're more for relaxing and for I guess spa purposes, and so while it's relaxing and it's a nice experience, you don't see the change in your skin that you want. But then on the other side, in the aesthetics world right now, there's a lot of treatments that are extremely harsh because a lot of treatments are focused on boosting collagen, which is what I was saying before, because it's constantly declining. So you want to get a surge in collagen production, but they're doing this through inducing a small injury in your skin because they think create a small injury, create a bit of inflammation, then this is enough to get our collagen to repair. And while they do that, so you could have like an extremely deep peel or an extremely deep microneedling treatment or, microdermabrasion, which is stripping skin barrier, for example, and you do create some rejuvenation, some collagen stimulation in your skin. In 5-10 years, what we're seeing is that the quality of people's skin isn't so fantastic, or it's not as good as it could have been, and in some cases people are aging a little bit faster. And this is because the injury that we're constantly inducing on our skin is not enough or it's too much to outweigh or to minimize the risks of this rejuvenation. Does this make sense? So while we are getting rejuvenation, we have a little bit more injury and it's causing some harm. But there's this middle ground of treatments that are, again, scientifically backed and based on pharmaceuticals that are mainly focused around getting the right ingredient to the right layer of your skin in a high percentage to give it a huge boost. And these are the treatments that I stand behind, that all of Dermoi is focused on providing for people. And these are the treatments that when you're having them once a month, because it's not about a quick fix. Anything that's a quick fix is likely exploiting the organ in a way that it's harmful, right? But when you're taking care of your skin with these treatments, with a skin expert, the transformation that people can achieve if they have wrinkles or hyperpigmentation that you touched on, rosacea, it's so nice to see. When it comes to skin lightening agents and skin bleaching agents, I know that a lot of them are not approved for use in the EU. But when it comes to pigmentation, it's a bit of a tricky one because I don't necessarily believe that you need to do these things, because when there's hyperpigmentation, it means that skin cells called the melanocytes, which are residing within the upper layer of your skin, which is the epidermis, but in the lower layer of the epidermis, basically right above the dermal epidermal junction, they have been, I guess, overly stimulated to produce excess melanin, which is skin pigment. And this can be from chronic UV exposure, it can be from inflammatory reactions, any kind of injury, sometimes it's hormonally related, etc. But there are a lot of treatments and really harsh ingredients that will think, I guess, or are formulated on the philosophy that, the deeper we go to get this pigmentation, the more effective it's going to be. Whereas in reality, we need to stay in the upper layer of the skin, right? We do need to get to the bottom. We need to try and get right to the dermal epidermal junction slightly above, because the pigmentation comes up. But if you are gently exfoliating properly, if you're getting a really good vitamin C, a really good kojic acid, niacinamide, there's a few other ingredients there which act on down regulating the enzymes that are producing all of this pigment, you see huge changes. Huge changes. So there's no need for a bleaching ingredient. You just need to be patient, give it a couple of months, and you will see the result. And then at the same time, you will see your skin become more soft and more supple and more vibrant, because you're not actually damaging the organ to get the result that you want. And the last thing I will say is, just while we're talking about hyperpigmentation, is that SPF is essential. It's essential for everyone, every day, because, long-term UV exposure, so the exposure over our lifetime, contributes or is one of the main contributors to aging. And it's estimated that these external causes, so, stress, malnutrition, UV radiation, pollution, accounts for roughly up to 80% of the aging that you see on your skin as you get older. But moving back to pigmentation, UV radiation will directly make pigmentation worse, and it will stop your progress. So SPF, a good exfoliant, some really good actives, a good treatment, and you're on your way with pigmentation.
Thank you, Eve. Now, a lot of people who would be watching, PsychRage interviews, they're really interested to, look for ways to improve their mental health, their wellness. So, Eve, can you talk us more about how the skincare ties with our well-being, especially, to some extent, how does it tie in with mental health?
Yeah. So there are countless studies that are linking skin health with mental health. Countless, right? Like it's well investigated, well documented, well reported that when your skin health is not at its best, your mental health suffers, your confidence suffers. It will influence people's education choices, career choices, social engagements, relationships, and it can really decrease the quality of your life if your skin health is not in optimal condition. And while maybe some people feel that's quite extreme, it's not. I read a quote once um, from a study from the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Skin in the UK, and the quote was, "It's hard to let anyone love you, look at you, and kiss you when you look and feel disgusting." And this was a participant who had rosacea and acne. And it just really resonated with me because, for some people, maybe it is less of an impact, but for others, it influences your whole life. And so many things involved. And I think another thing that maybe people don't think about is that as you get older, there are changes that happen in your skin, right? There are external causes of aging and internal causes of aging, but the fact of the matter is that as you age, there are changes that occur. And these also affect people's mental health. You see a change in your physical appearance that maybe you weren't anticipating. And it's not vain to say it affects me, or it's not vain to say, oh, I wasn't expecting this, and it's affecting me mentally a little bit. And I think sometimes it's so easy to jump into maybe it's just luxury, or it's not important, or it's not essential, but in reality, it's us. Our skin isn't going away. It's a huge part of our personal identities. We're born with it, and we have our whole life with it. And so we should take care of it, and we should respect everyone with skin conditions and support everyone along the way, and realize that taking care of your skin, it's essential, right? It's absolutely just as essential as going to the gym, as eating healthy. It's how you present yourself to the world. And yeah, for me, it's absolutely in my wellness regime. And in Dermoi, I will mention just really quickly, we try to make everything as convenient as possible because, in this way, we're trying to make it as easy as possible for people to incorporate, whatever is best for them in terms of caring for their skin into their daily life. So that doesn't have to be something major. It can just be 5 minutes a day and you're good to go.
You mentioned that Dermoi makes it more accessible for people to manage their skin conditions. How, in particular, does Dermoi make it accessible for people?
Sure. Yeah, it's through our platforms. So we have number one is our online booking system for facial treatments. So when you book online, your esthetician comes directly to your home, and the facial treatment is 70 minutes. So you can book Friday, 6 p.m. You never have to leave your home. Someone comes to you, they treat your skin, they give it a boost of the actives you need, they give you the advice, they give you the roadmap that you need for your skin journey, and then they're on their way. And it's very seamless to incorporate into every lifestyle. And number two is our online shop. So you can quickly just order what you need and it comes to you in 24 or 48 hours. And we have a subscription. For those clients who are serious about caring for their skin, the subscription gives you one facial treatment a month in your own home. And it's our way of making it even easier or more convenient for people to have caring for your skin become second nature. So once a month, someone comes to you. It's just an hour out of your day. It's amazing for anyone who is super busy, anyone who doesn't like to travel, maybe someone who's working loads and they're tired and they don't feel like traveling after work and this and that. So yeah, it's one of our huge missions here.
Okay. And obviously, if they want to learn more about the package and the services that you offer, they can just navigate your website. So what I'll do is I'll pop in the link to the description notes so they can, just explore your website. Now, if we've been talking about how we can better manage our skin, but I suppose we also have to talk about the skincare sector in general. Do you think there's an underlying problem within the skincare sector? And if so, how can we address those problems within the community?
Mm-hmm. Sure. The main, I guess, issue we're seeing right now is inconsistency. And it's inconsistency in formulas and inconsistency in information. So a lot of the times when you're, I guess, in a shop or online and you're browsing skincare, you could see, a really amazing, outstanding, advanced formula next to something that is similar in price. If not, it's more expensive, but the formula will not do what it says it's going to do. And so how are you supposed to differentiate between, what is effective and what's not when you would just assume that it's, if it's supported, next to each other, displayed next to each other, that it's all at the same level. So that's number one. I guess people are finding it hard to find the right things to treat their skin, or maybe they're not seeing the result that they're after. And then number two, there's so much inconsistency in information. And it's so amazing that we have access to so much now. People can learn more than they've ever been able to learn before. And for me, I can spend hours and hours reading the journals, um, reading the latest studies that come out, or even just bloggers, because it's so lovely to hear someone's experience. However, on the flip side, not all of this information is 100% accurate. And if it's highly trusted, there can be some, I guess, issues in how people are treating their skin. Um, Active ingredients, there are so many different ones, and they're not necessarily meant for everyone. And also, there are active ingredients that, in order to use them, you need to follow certain protocols at home. And it's absolutely not a problem, but people need to know this, right? If you're using a higher strength AHA acid, you must use SPF. Must. Right? Because it makes you more sun sensitive. And that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to burn. It means that you are taking on more damage in your skin than you would have otherwise from UV radiation. So yeah, this is kind of where we are. I think to maybe change it, um, finding the platforms out there, or your skincare provider that you trust, and the brands that you trust are coming from a genuine place, that are passionate about the science, that are keen to make a difference in people's skin health, that are here to bring advanced formulas to you, is number one, right? Do your research, maybe, really, really look into it. And number two is, when you're looking for information, it's those websites or those resources that are very happily and easily able to link to you where they got the information from. Like, what paper are you looking at? What maybe review article are you looking at? Yeah, for you, so you know that the information coming through has been investigated before, is ideal. So I think as us, we need to become a little bit more suspicious, maybe, about what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we have said, there's already a wealth of information now. You can access it, be it through bloggers or be it through scientific journals. But because you mentioned earlier, Eve, that with the Dermoi, that you make it accessible. So is that also part of your commitment to make skincare information more accessible to people? I was just wondering if you also offer information to them, not just skincare products.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm so passionate about it because I really feel that the use of active ingredients should be guided. Um, so that you don't have someone using a really high strength acid when they don't need it, when they don't need the resurfacing. And if they do need the resurfacing, that they're using it in the healthiest way with loads of SPF. I feel so passionate about this because I've seen firsthand the difference that it can make. And how it changes people. We are absolutely committed to bringing the most accurate latest technologies to people. So all of our product descriptions are written by our scientific team. They're all reviewed. All of our blogs, it's the same thing. Anytime we release or talk about any sort of information, it is coming from a team of in-house scientists. Yeah, and that's, one of our, I guess, main differences is that I guess it's very common for a service provider or a retailer to not employ this expertise, whereas the level of innovation in this field is becoming stronger, and it is a scientifically driven field. So having those people who can take what's happening in the labs and communicate it to everyone in an easy to comprehend way is, I feel, essential. And it is one of my biggest life passions, is to be able to help people understand their skin.
Absolutely. And Eve, so we've been talking about Dermoi, we've been talking about skincare, we've been talking about the skincare sector. But what's the biggest takeaway? What's the big message from Eve Casha when it comes to looking after our skin?
It's recognize that your skin is working so hard for you, whether you think it is or not. And recognize that your skin is taking so much abuse, and recognize that we can care for our skin every single day, and it doesn't mean that you're being too frivolous, and it doesn't mean that you're dropping other priorities. It's essential. Give yourself 5 minutes every day. Nobody has to feel guilty, and it will change how you look, it will change how you feel, and ultimately how you live your life. So yeah, it's essential for wellness, and yeah, let's all prioritize our skin.
Absolutely. And I think also, if I may just add to your takeaways, that skincare is also a form of self-care, like what you've explained earlier, that it's not just frivolous, it's not just trivial, but ultimately it's also part of your self-presentation, and affects your self-esteem and affects your self-concept. Now, Eve, we've been talking a lot of things about what you do, but I saved some questions for you to just kind of get to know you more as a person. So my last question would be, I'm trying to get to know you a bit more. So first, I just want to find out if there's a particular individual who has the greatest influence to your work.
You know what I will say, but I don't know if it's generic answer. My mom. 100%. My mom is also a scientist, and she has instilled in me that I can do anything I want to do. If I want to learn more about something, I can do it. If I want to formulate something new, I can do it. And that if I put my mind to it, I can achieve anything. So she's absolutely influenced my work, and she's absolutely, yeah, I'll stop there. That's her.
Yeah. And what's your advice for those who want to follow your footsteps, who wants to be, start with science, and because you're also an effective science communicator, you're trying to make, science more accessible to the wider public. So a lot of people who would be watching this, they just kind of, toying around the idea what they would, love to do in the future. So what's your advice for them?
I think it can be very stressful to figure out exactly where you fit in and exactly what you want to do. I think that even if you have the smallest feeling of the direction of where you want to go, just keep exploring. If you are, like myself, interested in skin and you're going into sciences, I did everything in my power to make sure that everything I was studying was mainly focused around the skin, and all of my laboratory projects were centered around the skin. And maybe you could do something similar as well if it's another industry or another topic, but just make the most of what you have. And another thing is just try things, because there were so many things that I did that I didn't realize weren't for me, because skincare is such a large industry and there's so many different positions out there, and I wasn't so sure that I would end up on the science side. But when you try things, you either get an amazing gut feeling and it's best for you, or you go, okay, great, that was a wonderful experience, but then you're drawn somewhere else.
Absolutely. And you mentioned earlier the importance of, finding your sources from, credible materials. So can you recommend to us some good materials when it comes to skincare? Is there a particular journal that you're really, a fan of, or any, credible websites?
Oh, okay, yeah. So I guess a few of mine. I love the Journal of Aesthetic Dermatology. I love the American Journal of Dermatology. I do also really like the Journal of Aesthetic Nursing because it deals with a lot of the practical sides of the aesthetic industry, and it has loads of case studies in there. But I understand that not everyone might have access to these, but you can still read the abstracts, and it will help you. Yeah, those are the ones that I would go to. And then it's back to kind of before that if you come across a blog, sometimes you will see they will reference their information. So it's not necessarily one blog, but if you're reading information and it's clearly said, where it's from, it's usually a pretty good place to start.
Absolutely. And Eve, what's your professional dream?
Oh, that's a big question. To continue doing what I'm doing, to continue helping people with skin health, to continue merging what's happening with science, with everyone, and ultimately to continue with Dermoi. I'm so passionate about this company and yeah, and keeping it alive and making sure that people can care for their skin health.
Okay. And Eve, what do you think you would be doing if you didn't become a skincare expert for Dermoi?
Oh, I would still be in skincare. I would still be in skin health. Maybe I would still be in the lab. Yeah, maybe this would be the way. Maybe I would still be just constantly learning. Maybe I would never get out of academia.
That would be fun, like a skincare expert university lecturer. Now, finally, Eve, the floor is all yours. So tell us what else is in the pipeline, if there are any exciting projects or exciting events with Dermoi, or even with you as personally, was any side projects. And also, if people wanted to reach out to you, what platforms can they get in touch with you at?
Sure. Okay, so in the pipeline for us is Dermoi. We have an insane Christmas giveaway coming out to try and give back in the holiday season. So that's number one. And number two is we are making some changes to our treatments, and we're adding in another treatment. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's amazing. I can't wait to bring it out. And it's really going to help people who have hyperpigmentation, scarring, and deep wrinkles. So that's coming. So we're adding an additional treatment on the platform, and I can't wait. It's going to be, here soon, maybe New Year. Cannot wait. And if they want to get in touch with me, I have anytime anyone comes through me through Dermoi, I get it. Otherwise, any sort of social media platform, it's Eve Casha, and I can connect with anyone there.
Thank you, Eve. So I'll pop all those links, especially the link to Dermoi. So if anyone wants to, kind of nourish the skin so that it affects their self-esteem and well-being, they could get in touch with Dermoi and just, read all the information on your website, especially your upcoming package for Christmas. Well, Eve Kasha, it's a pleasure having you here on the DRH show, but unfortunately, time is against us. I look forward to hearing more about your work. Thank you.
Thank you.